Greetings! This is Akeem representing for Roots Reggae Hub International. Give me your attention, baby. I'm being for affection lately. Not for love and attention, baby. Please, sexy lady. Can't get enough of your special.
Hey, you look beautiful.
I love you too. Radiant, radiant. Victorian, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
Yes, yes. And how are you, my sister?
I'm good. I'm good. I had a good day.
That's awesome. Tonight we have with us just to start, like to introduce, because we're going to have Unblind. I see Blind has joined as well. We're going to have a discussion today about a word that has been used often, a word called love. What is love? What are the characteristics of love? Often we grow up and we hear, I've heard growing up, love
Greetings.
is not hugs and kisses. Greetings, Unblind, greetings. You know, I grew up hearing love is not hugs and kisses. It is, you know, the food I give you. Or you hear on the pulpit, love is kind, love is patient, love bears all things, love believes all things, love hopes all things. You hear these terms, these quotes, these parables, but what do they really mean? What do they really look like? And today we're going to step in and just really have a cipher amongst ourselves today about what is love and what does it look like and what can it do for our community? What can it do? The power of love. So I'm gonna introduce now. We have with us today Unblind. Unblind, welcome. Bienvenue. Let's say bienvenue.
Welcome, Ryan. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, audience.
We have the mother of Roots Reggae Hub with us tonight, and we've been talking. We've asked, and this is Joy. And we've asked Joy, as I said, what is love? What is love? So we're going to start with just introducing ourselves. As I said, so we have with us Unblind. Unblind, if you could just share a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Peace and blessings, Lady Sharon. My name is Unblind, Keprikasab Effect Tibin. I am a writer as well as somebody who's been involved in community engagement and also involved in elucidating what is the true essence of our African roots and African culture, and no longer falling into the stereotypical vision which has been created by the falsifications by the media and the press and by mishistory. We need our story. So I'm also a writer in the field, and I also I'm a martial arts teacher, a sensei in judo, and a qigong teacher as well. And I do some comedic work with the Asera Society around us reclaiming our divine identification with our divinity within, so that we can reclaim our true greatness, know thyself, and therefore create wonderful fruits from our tree, because we can only judge a tree by the fruits it provides to the humanity to feed them with truth and upliftment. Ashe.
Ashe.
Okay.
And then
Joy.
The mother Joy.
The mother of Roots Reggae Hub from the foundation. And I'm a retired RN, registered nurse. I worked in ICU for 38 years. So, and I knew nothing. I have no passion. My passion is nursing. My passion is taking care of humanity.
Sure.
So I look at life very differently, because I've resuscitated Lenny. brought people back to life, heard what they had to say with their experiences on the other side, because we put them into a deep coma when we're in the unit to heal them. So when they wake up, they tell us all kinds of stories. And I myself has entered that other dimension because I almost passed away. So life is all about love, and I'm all about love, the trees, the universe. I believe that humanity and nature is one, and we manifest those things through our being, because our physical body represents nature. So when I look at life, I look at myself as part of nature. So when I go out there, I hug the trees, I talk to the birds, and they do magical tricks. So, and they give me messages. So that's what I'm all about. My passion is really about people, since I have my nursing background, and I enjoy doing it. And I have a lot of my patients and their families, I'll just share this with you, told me that I was born with compassion. Compassion is not something you can cultivate. It's actually a gift that some of us have. And love encompasses all that. Now that we're on the topic, because do you want me to start, DJ Sharon?
Keep on.
Can I start?
This is a cipher. This is a conversation.
Yeah, so basically, I look at love from looking after patients that have gone into the other realm, into the spiritual dimension. I look at love as universal. It's our emotions, it's our thoughts, it's our actions, and it's our conduct. So when they talk about love in this time, in this 21st century, me being 66 years old, I'm not afraid to tell my age, because I'm ageless, I'm timeless. Society gave me a number, but I'm like Peter Tosh. I was there 2,000 years ago. I'm back now. Like Peter Tosh is my guy because he touches my soul. And since I'm this age, I grew up with them, and unfortunately, they're not with us physically, but they're with us spiritually, all around us. Our ancestors that goes in us. So when it comes to love, love is universal, as I say. It's conduct, actions, feelings, and thoughts. So for every individual, you decide what love is, because love is from the heart. We have chambers in our heart, and love is all about that. Love comes from the soul, and the soul is it's basically your spirit, because when we resuscitate patients at the hospital, it takes us 360 volts of energy to restart their heart. So once I retired from nursing, I realized that we are spirits. Not that I didn't know it before, but we are definitely spiritual beings. We're crystallized inside, we're crystalloids. And once they shock that heart, that energy, it comes back. Your heart starts pumping again. You know, I've resuscitated many people. So I look at love as universal. I don't see color in humanity. I don't know where that came from. But humanity as a whole, we all came from one source. You know, they say we're different tribes, but now I look at reality. I think that we are love. Our being exudes love. And it's our choice whether we share it unconditionally, and you have to love yourself first.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm about. That's what I'm about. You can have the floor now. Thanks. Thanks for letting me speak.
Power. And it's funny, there's a proverb that says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. It's life. And then look at the choice of colors that yourself and I just chose to wear, that we will, I don't know if you know, but green is a color that represents love. And more time we think it's the red, but green in itself, I know with the Hindu culture, represents the color of love, life. Everything flows from it, life, love. There's sayings where people say, God is love, but again, let's get into defining it, because things of the matters of the heart are good, could be good or bad. And this is what would could be um, love or evil or love, or if love spelled backwards, right? What is love to you, brother? I'm blind. What is love to you?
Yeah, thanks for that question. I think that there's lots of misanomalies in this society about love, because people say such radical things as "I love my car." They say such radical things as "I love my this," "I love my this," and this and the other. In our understanding, my understanding, it depends on what level of consciousness you're gravitating towards. If you're gravitating towards a level of consciousness which is very based in the material plane, then you have an interpretation of love which is a strong emotional link to something, right? Which could be interpreted as infatuation. It could be interpreted as a whole bunch of different things, right? The the understanding I have of the higher consciousness understanding of love is the ability to give without expecting anything in return. The ability to give knowing that there's a need that needs to be fulfilled, so that you are not seeking, some rewards specifically. If the reward does come, it will come because the laws of Ma'at. And when we talk about love on the tree of life, Ma'at, and when lots of people nowadays talk about Ma'at, that is the understanding we had in the ancient tradition of love. Ma'at is the universal law, the law of how nature, the sun and the moon interface, how nature, man and woman procreate, how the animals go through their cycles. This is love. This
Yeah.
is God's love, which has provided us with the universe, right? The womb-niverse, where we all exist. So our ability to provide and to give, knowing that there's a need, authentic need out there, is the highest, to me, manifestation of love. And when we practice that, we're not trying to love things. We're trying to become loving beings, right? So there's a difference in on the higher perspective of the tree between you loving your car, loving your house, loving this, loving that, even your wife, and you being a loving being. If you're a loving being, then you can provide love even at the point in which people will say you're crazy. That's not the right thing to do. But we know that when there's a need and you provide that need to somebody or to something, then you are acting out of love, right? So I think we need to, when we think about love, we need to think about becoming loving beings and not loving things, right? Because loving things are temporary. As a matter of fact, even our physical body is temporary. Like the sister was saying, our essence is divine. Our essence is not the physical body. It's going to go, and we're going to still be around, and we're going to come back. So our ability to understand the need of those around us and to provide selflessly to those around us is the highest notion of love. And if we have that, then we can have a relationship. We can have a whole bunch of things which will be very, very rewarding for all parties. Because that definition of love creates a win-win. And at the end of the day, when we have a win-win, that's when we are giving, because not because we seek something in return, but because we recognize that there's a need, and we can support that need just like God supports our needs by giving us life. So that's what really comes to mind when we're talking about love.
Now,
Not to limit or to denigrate anybody who's thinking of love in a different sense, but I'm just saying that it's more out of socialization and impregnation with the wrong information, and out of omission rather than commission, that lots of people get very hurt in this whole love thing, and at the end of the day, they realize that being a loving being is the most important thing they could have done with their lives, instead of just seeking love in things which are shallow and ephemeral at the end of the day.
It's funny. I'm doing part of a healing circle every other week now, and I went through a process and like one of our homework, and I contacted the facilitator, and I had experience where my upper shoulder the next day is red and it's sore, but based on the exercise that I did, and I was like, what is this? I like, she was like, she got back to me right away. And one of the things that she said is ask the pain, what is it that you need?
Mm.
What is it that you need? Because that love, that charity now needs to come, what you're talking about. As much as I was looking at all these topics of love, and I'm like, yo, that's what I used to think love was, you know, giving more than to others than myself.
Mm.
Right? And this is when the trouble starts, because you can make a person a decent somebody if and you give selflessly to them and they don't even value, right?
Yes.
It's you know, it's chaos. It's a mess. It's not love. There's no, you know. And so what is it that you need? You said the operative word is the need, right? Because
Yes.
when we are in this time, we, especially when the pandemic has hit, we were faced, many of us before that, but many of us at that particular time were faced with the test of what is love? Who's my people? You know what I mean? And I'm like, if the whole community cuts off each other, and I know one of the characteristics of love is forgiveness, you know what I mean? So that we cut off from
I think love has become like a commodity in a sense. Like looking at life, it's like everybody just says this word, but they have nothing to back it up. As you know, Russ was saying there, it's like I hear one love. What did Bob Marley mean by that one love? Are you practicing one love? You know, we have so much dissension in our community. We talk about unity, but it never manifests because everybody is looking out for themselves to make themselves rich. But money doesn't buy health.
No.
It doesn't buy a happy life. People think so, but it doesn't.
No.
It comes down to your relationships. Love is all about relationships because I love my children differently from I love my lover, my man.
Right.
Yeah.
I love my friends differently from I love my mother, my father, my siblings. You know, so it's a different kind of love. Love has no definition as far as I'm concerned. It's all about conduct, actions, thoughts, feelings. Once you put all those things into the process, I can go to the supermarket. I don't know what I'm going to encounter leaving the house. But by the time I do my grocery and you interact with the cashier, it's like, have a good day, ma'am. It was nice talking to you today. You don't know what's going to come down. That's love. That's living, as Russ said, the Mahat. There are 42 principles to her. And once you live a life like that you can go to bed and say, I have not. In those 42, it's hard. But you have to be conscious of it. Once you make yourself conscious of the way you live and the morals you decide to be your standards and you live by them, then you look at everybody as love. Because you meet tons of people on your journey, tons. And some of the ones that you meet maybe for 10 minutes are the ones that you go home and you say, wow, you know, I learned something from that person. So love is always, it's ever changing. I don't think you can define it. It's from that thing within. Because why do we have wicked people? Why do we have people that hate? We can't change them.
So I think in many ways you are defining it, because we really it's an urgent emergency for us to get into that frequency of love. What does that frequency vibrate on? Like, what is it? You mentioned in the dialogue about the 42 principles in Ma'at, right? So there's these definitions, because I had dropped in the email, you know, love does not envy. Truthfully, I don't want to be around people that have energy of envy. You get what I'm saying? So that is, that's a definition of what love is not. It does not do that. Love, it celebrates one another. So we want to kind of get into defining that. I don't know if you want to touch on maybe the 42 principles, brother. I'm blind about like the
Yeah.
There's 42 principles, which were the ancient code of our Kemetic ancestors, which were meant to be something you observed on a daily basis. And with the observance of those principles, you are meant to declare yourself Ma'akeru, which is Ma'akeru, triumphant over wickedness and evil. So that was the goal of these principles. There was also 11 laws of Ma'at, which are based on the tree of life, and how we can regulate our emotions to understand that we can even be at peace in the face of adversity. So being able to give love is being able to be peaceful at different points in our lives, because when we're peaceful, we are able to manifest the truer self rather than when we are clouded by the animals within our spirit. So in the ancient Kemetic tradition, at the end of your life, you are meant to declare yourself Ma'akeru. And there's that scene, which is very, very much of an allegory to living, where you present your heart to Tahuti, who's the judge, and it's weighed against the feather, right? So love is the ability for your heart to be lighter than a feather, not because it's some type of a miraculous thing, but because you have nothing that you are doing which is against truth, right? The ability to have no conscience about your actions. Because what you're doing is trying to uplift yourself and others. That is being a light being. So those 42 principles are very important. The 11 laws are very important as well. But some people call it the golden rule, or whatever they choose to call it, across different religions and different faiths. But we all have an understanding of what love is, and it's the biggest issue is practicing it on a regular basis, because there's so many things around you that separate you from your true essence of love and peace, right? And not the least society, which is very much of a based on a very carnal, warlike, animalistic manifestation at all points in time. So even love is being dragged into the mud, like the sister was saying, and people are seeing all types of negative identifications, jealousy. They're taking out their anger on others, and they say that's love. But in the tradition of ancient Africa, true love will be the essence of the sage, the essence of those who are just trying to benefit society and those around them as much as they can by themselves, practicing a certain degree of self-understanding of who they are, right? Know thyself is in Kemetic is being able to know that love and peace are the true essence of who you are. And even your person, you have a relationship, even with, like you said, with your person, which is your physical being. You need to have love for that physical being first. So are you gonna give it the right? Going to give it the right amount of exercise, the right amount of energy, the right amount of there's a wide understanding of love when you're dealing with that enables us to really understand the interrelationships. And like we said, the sisters were saying, and wisdom, it's relational.
Yes,
It's the relation you have with your physical being, first of all, and then how you can relate to other beings. Like you want to respect the animals, you want to respect the trees, you want to, you know that this is the right way to express love. Not tarnishing the environment is also an act of love. Not creating negative outcomes for those around us. And I think this capitalistic society encourages soft, but love is the strongest thing we have. It's a strong, because it's going to create a win-win for all of us.
Okay, it's interesting the delay on our thing. So pardon the delay, but we're working with it between the screens. I see, I see the voice. I hear what you're saying, so we appreciate that. And one of the operative words even came up is that what you mentioned is respect. So that there is another characteristics of love. You'll hear earlier generations indicate like what has happened to this next generation. They have no respect. But then how did we treat that generation? You know what I mean? So, how do, do unto others you would like them to do unto you. There is loving your neighbors. How can you say you love me when you can't love me, the creator, when you can't love those that you see every day, right? So these things are very real. Respect is one of them. So you brought up respect. Respect for, and like in lieu of what Sister Joy was saying, was nature, respect for nature, respect for self, right? Because truthfully, I mean, in this journey, in like it's been about 2 years now, in this quest for the rights for my passage into womanhood, I've learned about that literally, that the true energy, everything that's around me, I'm attracting. You know what I mean? So that if I love me in this great big love, you know what I mean? I don't think no idiot can come and try. You know what I mean? But if I don't love me, understand that it's really I wasn't really I never grew up really understanding. You understood would say this word self love, right? But it seemed like an oppressive word, right? It didn't seem like you had this nurturing, this power. And there is power in love, not this chaos that we're seeing the last 2 years unfolding. This agenda is going to soon stop. We're moving into the golden age. Praise the Most High Creator. So we just have to just stand strong. Love does not give up. You know what I mean? Right? It doesn't fail. We have to embrace that. But I heard the word respect come out. Relationships. With our family, with our loved ones,
I think I was just thinking when you were speaking.
Yes.
I think love is seeing yourself in everyone else. Once you get to realize who you are, it's like you start seeing people. I go by energy when I meet people. It's like some people are just attracted to you. Some people just come up to you, and I think there's an energy that we give off when you're in tune with your inner being. As Ras was saying, once you become conscious of self, and everybody, that's the journey we have on earth to fulfill, to become the God person, or the netter, right? To become our divine self, to recognize the ultimate is so we can travel back and forth in the dimensions. I think like this is how I understand some of the teachings of the Kemetic stuff, because I was delving into some of it and I'm still learning. I'm just taking my baby steps, because unfortunately I lost my partner, and he was delving into the Kemetic African spirituality for like 40 years before he passed away. And we've had a great loss at the station, because he was like a person that empowered you, like made you see you were the netter, you are the god. You can be the eagle, you can be the lion, you can be the scarab, you can be the beetle, you can be anything that you want. All those attributes we have, because we are the temple. Man is the temple. Everything that's in your body represents something in nature. The oak trees live together, the maple trees live together, everybody lives together in the forest. So why can't humanity? Why does one have to be supreme over the other? Has people asked those questions? Why do you feel you have to feel better than me? I don't care about your BMW. I don't care about your Benz. You know, all I want is health, because money cannot buy health. And once you have your health, you learn to have a conscience, to love, because love is universal. It's the trees, the birds, the heavens. You know, how many people take time to even go look up at the skies? Because everything above is below. Everything,
Mm.
you know?
I take from that, love does not boast. When you
No.
know, it just really doesn't boast. That's another character of it, of love. And I'd also take from that as well that we really do need to see ourselves in everything and in nature, because that brings back that respect, that cycle of we need to change the cycle. We're part of the change. We're all a part of this change, right? The more that we practice, as Brother Unblind said, you know, this activity, the more that we practice activity of love, the frequency of love, we actually can change these darker times. I've seen where I've stepped out and just in great energy, great love into territories that I knew that were absolutely racist. I didn't step out that particular day in fear, but that day becomes totally magical, as Joy mentioned earlier. Totally magical. The doors are being held open for you by the reddest of certain people. You know what I mean? All these things are happening magically because that particular day I exuded love. I woke up that morning and I gave that time. I didn't give time for the evil of fear, but I gave time for the strength of faith, of love. Love believes all things, love hopes all things.
I want
And
to
then,
ask Ross something. I'm curious. Because
You mentioned.
you've delved into the Kemetic cosmology, right? I read in the Metu Netter that we're in the third sun, because it's like the sun has set where it now rises before, so, and it's set where it's risen before. So twice it's happened in the precession, or the earth, like the ages, the 26,000 years, the rotation, all this, all these things affect humanity. And I know Ras can speak better on that, because as I said, I'm just learning. So I'm asking you, don't you think that the cosmic timeline is like unknown forces, like coming from that realm? Don't you think it also has an effect on humanity and our actions?
Yeah, definitely, because even in as mild cosmic occurrences as the solstices and the equinox are very prime, because those activities are representative of energy for the physical body. So the physical body is like a planet. So we need to really be mindful of the cycles and what is going on in the universe. That is going to draw energy towards certain activities, and those activities are activities we haven't trained our spirit to understand who we truly are. That's why in ancient Kemet, the biggest saying everywhere in the temples was "Know thyself," because energy is there, and the essence of energy is the self, and the energy can go either way. You know, the energy of Herukuti in our tradition could go into building a house or into killing somebody. It could go either way, meaning that's the application of the love to that energy, which makes that energy become. If you are or of spiritual development, that energy will mess you up. It's like that when we're talking about love, people have that urge within them, and it gets in a very deprived manner if they haven't cultivated a higher understanding of who they are. So I think lots of the cycles are very determined. Sure, and on we're saying back in the days, we can't blame anybody. Our ancient African civilization is 5,000, 10,000 years old. Some of the civilizations that have come now are maybe 500 years old. So the Dogons say, and it's very illuminating what they say, they are children of the moon. They only reflect the light of the sun. So when we talk about Western society, right, we need to be really about our understanding to even, I think, become models, role models of what it is, whether it's love, whether it's real love, what is being a peaceful divine being, and truly practicing these things, because even the new age stuff is taking a little piece of what we had, patching it together, and then after that, not using it necessarily for the right purpose, you know? Just like when you're using yoga to get a stretch instead of to experience oneness with God, right? Which is the founding, right? So
Yeah.
you can do it for that if you want to, but then when you take it to the next plane, like you're talking about my sister and the Matu Nature at Auxerre, where we were all one, realize your oneness with all things, nature and the universe, and that is the purpose of it, even though the lower planes might be just to get some exercise, right? So yeah, I think it's very important, and that we work with them, because like you know, in African tradition, we are enhancing nature. That's we're built as clocks in order to determine the time of the solstices and the equinoxes. That was the purpose. I mean, if you go into the solstice and equinox and you go into the pyramids, you'll see that the way in which the light is reflected there is very illuminating. And lots of the ancient tradition will tell you that's when the spirit of the Shechem or Shechems or the leaders would be transitioning to Orient, right? So they'll be transitioning during those periods of the year. And that's why it was important to have them buried inside the pyramids. They were put there until the solstice to travel, and then they were buried inside the catacombs where they're buried as well. So we need to have a different understanding of everything. It's deeper than what meets the eye. We're talking about love as well. It's something which we need to have a deeper understanding of, really, as the essence of who we are. Because in our tradition, ancient Kemetic tradition, the first act of Neter is to the world. Ma'at is created, love and divine law, and even there, when he comes to the earth, he has to subject himself to Ma'at.
Love,
And we when we come to the earth, we submit ourselves to
once
Ma'at
you
as
have
well,
balance, I
which is the
think in a
love
society,
interactivity of all love.
Once we realize who we are, as I said, you exude that love. You exhibit that love. Like there's no love is boundless. It's not restricted.
Very much.
It's the way you live. And like I can't even get into the other part about the spirituality thing, because I don't think people understand your livity represents spirituality. It's the way you know, it encompasses love. It encompasses love is the main thing. If you don't love another human being, like how can the world function? As we see, it's in a bad state. And we're coming to the time. That's why things are happening. We're into the, AI, where you don't have to even touch somebody. I want to hug you. I don't have to hug you. I feel like I'm being hugged on the AI. Like they're taking away all that, the senses, the touch, the feel, it's like they want you to be in that machine. I don't even know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I know that what we have physically will override their AI.
Yeah.
No matter what they think. I believe. Yes. I know that. Yeah. So I'm not arguing with their AI, but humanity, the cosmos, has decisions. And they are all unfaltering, and they are on time. You see? The moon has its 29 days rotation, like a woman's menstruation. So everything is one. We are interdependent on the universe, everything. So my thing is, if humanity doesn't start respecting each other, looking at each other, loving each other, we're not asking you to, that kind. It's like love really from your heart for the betterment of that other human being.
Yeah.
It's
And
just
one,
you want the best for that other human being. Don't feel jealous. Don't feel envy. As a matter of fact, you help to lift him up higher. You know, so that's what I think true love is. You want it. You want somebody to be always always their best. We're all different. Our passions are different, but always lift them up to their utmost, because some people will slack off. Always encourage them, give them a pat on the back, say, listen, that was nice what you said to me, that was nice job you did yesterday. We don't compliment each other enough. We don't, and that's part of love.
yes,
That's why I say love is like encompasses everything. It has everything that's in our body, our spleen, our bone marrow, everything has to function for us to function. So
true.
love is giving all. Just like how you love yourself, you give it back. And I think that's what humanity has to come down to. And it's not all going to be this, like, we always have good, we always have evil, we always have love, we always have hate. That cannot be changed. But the masses, it only takes a few. It only takes a few of us to influence the world, spiritually. We just have to get back into our African spirituality and realize, know thyself, because yourself, your mission here on the planet, no matter if you're a musician, singer, is to recognize your God self,
Yes.
the God person, the netter that you are.
Yes,
So,
yes.
that's what love is all about. And once you understand yourself, you accept your weaknesses, your faults, and you can say, like they call it conscience. But I think there's a difference between the brain, the heart has a brain, and the brain has brain. So they all interact with each other. One sends the impulses down, and your heart is, because you can't live without a heart, but you can live without a brain. So this thing that beats, as I say, when I used to listen through the stethoscope, it used to say, love you, love you. That's how it beats. Boo-doo, boo. Like, so all my interpretation of that was like that. Love you, love the self. And then you will change humanity. Because you loving yourself, you love the other person just the same as you love yourself. And I think that's what love is all about. And
So,
it's just, misunderstanding. But I have faith in humanity
yeah.
and the cosmos. So I'm not fretting. As Aisha Bell said, no fret. In her song, No Fret. I love that song.
Yeah.
Because better is coming.
Oh yeah, the golden age is definitely
Oh
around the
yeah.
corner.
Oh yeah.
There's some things that I look at that's been mentioned is that you mentioned the power of love. You mentioned as well as some characteristics of the love. So you had mentioned that love is boundless. So that I looked as you said those words, I felt its power, that it is boundless, and that is one of the key things. It's much bigger than all this evil or wickedness there, but then also too, then there's characteristics of love that you mentioned, of that it rejoices in good things and wants good for the other, and rejoices in truth. If your friend is beautiful or looks nice today, look upon them a certain way. You know what I mean? You rejoice in that, or if they spoke their truth, you will receive it. There's characteristics of forgiveness. So because these characteristics, we have to now begin to embody these characteristics, because again, a lot of people necessarily were not grown with those things, did not see or know these things. I could see different parallels of families or that have that nucleus of generations of love, and I'm telling you, you could see the boundlessness and the powerful of generation to generation to generation. You can't stop them. You understand? Then you have people who's cut from a different cloth where they didn't know that. They knew cool, talk, spit, you know what I mean? Whatever, you name it, bite, you know, they knew things. So we got this evil's got to be eradicated. People are being killed as we even speak today. That we've got to learn how to. Now I've caught from what Sister Joyce said is about the that inner love, that spiritual love. You know what I mean? That activity of it. The let it, I think you were saying it to some extent. Let the heart lead. To some extent, you were talking about the heart and the brain, right? So now we need to get into that spiritual love, that boundless love, because there's no way, if the universe, as you said, the universe, them a do certain things, the gods, you know, to be a god is that we need to be aligned with those 42 principles. So I would say it's very hard to say every day that I have not, because there's little micro ways that we could have lied or held back the truth by omission, you know what I mean, or something, right? There's little things that we can do, right? That would relate to not that energy of love, hence would hurt someone else, hence would hurt you too. You want to come in there, Brother Ambla?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to, because you're talking about practical things, and I know we were talking about breathing before, but this is, when we look at our physical body, this is what connects us to our heart. That's how we can slow down our heart rate. Now, what happens is that when we have our breath in the upper chest, that's where we activate, in our tradition, the lower self of the animal. When we're able to go into the lower abdominal breathing, we slow down the heart and we're to make a better judgment and to be more intelligent and also to have more clarity and to operate on a higher frequency. So some practical techniques, and people think meditation, going up there and being up like a very flossy thing, but no, it's a practical technique you can practice on a regular basis, and then you'll be able to automatically have the right type of breath in situations where you express your peace and your love and be able to express it better. And I'm not just talking out of theoretic things, because I worked in a maximum security facility for 7 years with inmates where, whether they had committed vicious crimes, etc. And I would have a very peaceful engagement with everybody, and
We're experiencing a little bit technical difficulties, if you can hear me.
I didn't feel any threat, because believe it or not, when you're, and when I talked about being a loving being rather than loving beings, the problem when you love things is that when they do something you don't like, then what are you going to do? So when you become a loving being, you can understand that, okay. Am I good? Can people still hear me?
Yeah, a little bit. So there's this major delay, so there's a bit of technical difficulty. Yeah, can you hear me? Delay.
Lady Sharon, can I still continue?
Yeah, yes, continue. I could hear you.
Okay. Okay,
Am I there?
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm back.
You were hearing it,
Okay.
it was spinning. It's
I can hear you. Yeah, now I can hear you. Yeah. Okay, I think the elder. Yeah. And that facility, I try to impregnate, because then you are the one who's in control of your outcomes, right? So you want to be able to express that love in different ways. and with different people. I want to be able to see what their needs are and provide them with the needs that they have. Because some people, some people might need you not to be around them. That's an expression of love. So I'm not saying it's just one specific thing. It's once again, and it's something which you need to work on. There's some practical steps, things you can do to be more in doing your declarations at night. You need to be honest to yourself, because who's watching you is Oser. And you cannot really lie to yourself. We all have things we need to work on in order to improve, and that's the nature of life. So we can continue growing into more divine beings every day and continue working against the Western society is about creating a better mousetrap, whereas our tribe about creating better beings, more evolved, divine, so that we can be more in sync with our divinity, and we can be more like Creator is having experience of itself, but the goal is for Creator to evolve to that highest where we can be Oser. And Oser just represents and the way that we understand the interrelationships that need to happen and our true essence of peace, being able to be at peace, to realize that there's no real adversity. There's just opportunities to express your divinity. That opportunity shows itself if you have been practicing the right tools, then that opportunity with a divine response. Love is that as anything else. If you're not really cultivating and working, then the response will leads lots of our people, because I was working in the maximum security jail, leads lots of our people to being not only in a quagmire of their own making and in the spider web, but to be in situations as well. So and just to put it that way, whilst we're talking about this, I know that I'm also gonna just talk about my book, because I know we were meant to have to mention it.
Yes,
if you don't mind.
I'd like
It's
so I'm putting that down.
Broken Codes in Our Grandma. And this just expresses the love for my grandmother and how she lived her life through storytelling, and how she imparted the wisdom to us in the family, and how she was able to uplift us and to keep us going in our tradition and our culture. My grandmother, my great-grandmothers, and it talks about the story, our African story from an African perspective of loving our ancestors rather than antagonizing them and vilifying them like Europeans have been doing for a very long while in order to justify the vicious actions they've taken towards them.
Powered.
So it's Broken Coconuts in Our Grandmother's Grave, and it's available everywhere. And the
when I saw the book, I'm gonna definitely get the book to me, because he will be actually posting that in his bio. He posted in his bio, and but that grandmother's love. Before I even saw the book, I was wondering how can we break these cycles, and how did those other families break the cycle of slavery? Were they born free, or were they not affected by slavery? Because these are big things. Like just to carry the last names that we have, it's awful. It's really awful. It's like it literally tells the whole world we're property to anybody who doesn't have who is of African descent or of First Nation, I call it, descent. It's awful that my last name is Wickham. It's a tragedy. I need reparations. Anybody with those names, right? It's like immediate reparations. But needless to say, just to hear the beauty of that book, just like what you read about the book there, of your grandmother's love, her storytelling, her taking time, because I've looked at the love walk, how many mothers have taught their daughters to cook, or their sons. You know what I mean? These things here. Now every child got braids and weaves, when this is the time when we would be telling stories as we braid the hair. You know what I mean? And energy frequencies. These are lifestyle practices of love and connection. Washing of feet. It sounds really enough, but we go to a stranger, we go to Chin Chin. I love Chin Chin. I miss Chin Chin. I haven't actually planned that. I've learned to take care of my own, but Chin Chin, right? You know, these are acts of love, either to yourself or even amongst each other. Like I did a surprise party for my mom one time, and this is what we did. We did each other's feet, and what you know what I mean, and it was very loving and storytelling, of course, right? And it helps those that have gone through slavery that we like that before us to understand who and why they did what they've done, because they actually lived in slavery. Slavery was just the other day.
You know what I want to say too is that we look at the ancestors. I look at my ancestors, all of them could be anybody, all the ancestors that precedes me. Because when you look down the line, you have both sides. You have mother, father, then you go grandmother, great grandmother. Like look how many people made me up. You see what I'm saying? So love is that thing that when you feel like it's so many things. Like when you love yourself and you can look at other human being and love them also, like you love yourself, you want the best for them. You would never hurt them because you would never want to be hurt that way. And then there becomes a balance in life. I think it's when we get away from that. Like there has to be condition. So love is just living in balance, as we say about Mahat and all these other 11 principles. Like there's a lot. It's not just a little bit, you know, a little bit. It's like love encompasses all. And it's just for you to be at peace with yourself, as Ras said. It's being at peace with yourself. Make sure you go to bed with no conscience. You know, every day I try to be truthful to whoever I come across. I don't pretend, you know, and I think it's living a life like that, where you want to where you treat someone exactly how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
You know, for the basics. Because once you start living like that, a lot of things open up.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yes, you
just for
right away. Karma is very real. It's a frequency. You know what I mean? It's very real. You know, you have to, you know, love those as you love yourself. You know, that's a very good step. And I even, as I'm hearing today, like, you know, to love self is to know self. And when you know self, you want to know your environment as well. You want to know how you interact with the universe, how you align with the universe. You become very curious about it. You could be in abject poverty. Are you going to rob and steal? Or are you going to get to know self? Are you going to breathe? Are you, you know, these are things, these are tools. Love is as we learned earlier, a boundless tool, right? But it's for us to be able to define it and to be able to practice it. And I would love to learn about the stories from your grandmother, Brother I'm Blind. Like that's important to capture those things. My grandma's 98. I get stories, films, or, you know, we've watched, but it's like, if I won't lie, the stories are shocking sometimes because all they know was something bad. And then to sometimes, and like it's literally, you know, and just because of the shade of their skin, even, right? They actually knew something bad, another choice of life. They knew whips and stuff like that. And whereas sometimes some people, because of another experience in life or another position in life, or a strong mother that said, that, yeah, you ain't touching my children. You know what I mean? This creates this energy of love that she fought for children. And this is why she was able to give you these beautiful stories. Again, for our listeners, if you could just, and viewers that have joined us today and that are going to watch after the live is posted, if you could just tell them where they could find out more about you. Just spell out your links. I did want to ask you what unblind means, but I mean, it's a no-brainer, but where you got the name from, but we're running out of time and it's going to start to fizzle, but please tell the listeners where we could find you.
Okay, so this is Broken Colossus on Our Grandmother's Grave. It's available everywhere, from Amazon to Barnes and Noble to wherever books are sold. The Book Depository. It's an ebook as well as a physical book, as well as hard copy as well. It's also available if you're in the GTA and you want to go to a physical store. Brother Nosekare from Nile Valley Books is carrying this. Okay, so you can look up Nile Valley Books online in Toronto. It's in the East York. So he has the book. That's my book launch. He's a very loving brother. He's the most loving brother you can imagine. He supports local authors and get more Black literature read by Black people. Actually, when I recently went to Africa, to Sierra Leone, and when we were talking about love and the ancestors, Sister Sharon called Ivor there, who had traced Sierra Leone, right? He traced his ancestry there, so we took him there, and we actually went to the village. We went to the village, Gabo, where his ancestors had come from, and we're able to do a little welcome ceremony for him. Where the whole village came out and were singing to him, carried him to the center of the village. It was really an act towards the ancestors, because we need to bring some light to our ancestors and some love, knowing that they went through the Ma'afa, great suffering, that they need us to really plains. So it was a very loving journey, and we'll continue making those journeys in the future. But we want diaspora to really connect with the ancestors in a deeper way than just going on a scenic trip to see a whole bunch of trips, but to really sense of belonging, in the sense of home, being at home. And I think that's the real love. That's what real love is all about. You know, it's very part and parcel of what they need.
This has been a lovely conversation. Lovely. No pun intended. Lovely. A divine love conversation. And I look forward to having more. Thank you. I'm blind. Thank you.
Thank you.
One
nice
love.
to meet you.
One love.
One love.
One love.
One love.
I do this.